Is it going? Once again, I have to personally thank Ninja Link for putting Windrose into my life. So anyway, I stayed up a little bit too late last night, but it's okay. We're still here. We're still on time, and we're gonna get some work done. So anyway, I have some interesting stuff to do today, I think. I've drawn up a little new item here, which I'll show you. It's a jewel, and I have some interesting ability ideas for these things, and I also have another item idea here that I want to implement. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we're on day 5 of making 3 new items per day for the game, and I have so far met all of my goals here. So I've done at least 3 since I've started. Some days here have 4. This might be another 4 day, because honestly, I was trying to get to 4 yesterday, and I drew this jewel, but I was so tired by that point that I was like, all right, I'll just implement this ability tomorrow. But we've got this jewel here, and we are going to implement the ability for that thing. But let me do the ads first, and then we'll take a look at all that. So Alchemortis is available for wish listing. It's a wish listing. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can create your own builds and synergies using alchemy. So if that sounds fun, check it out. You can also support the game on Patreon. I am entirely self-funded, so every little bit of financial help is very much appreciated. But you get a couple of nice perks as well if you subscribe at the top tier. I will send you an Alchemortis Steam key, so this is kind of like a pre-purchase, and I will also include your name in the in-game Alchemortis credits. So if you think Alchemortis is going to pop off, is going to sell hundreds of billions of copies, you might want to have your name immortalized in that so everyone can remember you. But otherwise, you could also support me by purchasing one. Uh-oh. Did we disconnect? I get these notifications sometimes from OBS that disconnected, reconnecting. Am I reconnected? How's it going? Reconnection successful. Are we good? Anyway, the courses are available. Every way you could support me is linked in the description below, and you could support in other ways as well by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, joining the Discord. All that helps. All that helps. All right. Hello, Chris. Good morning. Good to see you. Good morning, Ninja Link. Good morning, Malicious Rabbit. Good to see you all. Junie, welcome back. Hello, Celestial Beagle. Welcome. Hello, OK Water OK. Good to see you all. You're still very welcome. I also stayed up late when I said I was going to bed at midnight, and I went at 2 a.m. instead. Yeah. Windrose is very fun, yeah. Windrose is very, very fun. Sailing the 7 Seas. Is it just content until release? No, there's still a bunch of like bigger things to tweak and to finish up. Like I still have to do the combat log overhaul. I'm not quite done with the translation system. There's still a bunch of untranslated strings in the game. There's still a couple rounds of balance and tweaking that need to be done. But I think the bulk of the effort from now until release is going to be probably content. But yeah, I think the combat log overhaul is the last like major thing that I have on my plate. I need to figure out how I want that to work. So yeah, we're gonna figure that out later. Hello, Clickertail, welcome. We're good. Okay, awesome. Thank you, BG Din. Little lag spike. Okay, interesting. It was 9 p.m. and I was already sleeping. Oh, nice. Audio's out of sync. Now it's back. Okay, we're good. All right. My stepdaughter got me to install Fortnite and do some no build games with her. Haven't played Fortnite since like 2018 when it was still a new thing. Other than that, I've been playing some of the Rift Breaker, and it's actually been pretty sick. Nice. I don't know what no build games means with Fortnite. Does that mean... honestly, I don't even know what Fortnite is anymore. Is it still a battle royale? Because I remember when I first heard of Fortnite, it was supposed to be like a PvE survival game with like building mechanics, right? And then it became a battle royale like overnight. So I don't even know what Fortnite is anymore. Is it like a Star Wars simulator now? What's going on? Anyway, It's what it sounds like. Battle Royale, but you can't build anything. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so I have an interesting idea for this jewel here. I think it's an interesting idea. It's still got too many wild things in it. All right, so this is Narlock's Grand Jewel, and the ability that I want to do for it is if this item executes 4 times within 20 seconds, deal massive damage but become exhausted. So this is going to be the ability for this item. And the kind of trick with this item, the little gimmick for this item, is that it is going to have a cooldown, a base cooldown that is high to the point where it can't naturally execute 4 times within 20 seconds. So I have it at 6.3 here. I should probably tag it as well. This is a relic ritual weapon. Alchemical. No, we won't do that much. Do I want to make it a weapon? Yeah, might as well. Relic ritual weapon. I don't think I have anything that's tagged with those 3 things exactly. So anyway, so it's got a 6.3 second turn cooldown. So that's, you know, that's roughly 25 seconds natural cooldown. So the idea, and honestly, that 20-second window might not be. I might try to design this such that, you know, we're trying to get like a bunch of cooldown resets on it. We're trying to like buff its cooldown reduction, so on and so forth. So yeah, I think, I think there's something interesting here. These numbers are not final, but 4 times within 15 seconds, maybe a little bit more of a challenge. So you like try to get it to execute a bunch of times. And maybe we'll change this to if this ability executes. So you could potentially swarm it, although I was thinking about making this innate though. All right, well, maybe this ability is not as good as I had it in my head, but anyway, we will see what we could do about it. Jewel. All these crazy weapons and effects definitely not made for gamers our age. Yeah, that's made for the iPad generation, I guess. The last time I played Fortnite with my kids, they were using plungers to pull themselves around the map or some nonsense like that. I mean, credit where it's due. Like Fortnite knows that it's a game, right? And their ethos seems to be, why not? So there's a certain level where I respect that, you know? It's like, it's just leaning hard into the fact that it's just a ridiculous concept from top to bottom. And yeah, I don't know. There's something about that that's kind of charming, actually. Thank you for your donation, Snup Bill. Appreciate it. With the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Snup Bill, and welcome back with the message, Yummers. Good to see you. Always good to see you. Look at those Yummers in the chat. Can we keep the Yummers train going? Maybe not. Should I do one of those like Twitch streamer things, like if there's a sub goal, but I do like the Yummers goal? See if we could get to like 100 Yummers an hour. Ah, Malicious Rabbit broke it. I think Fortnite aimed to be the Roblox replacement for teenagers, and it's definitely in that state now. I didn't mean to say excellent. Meant to say interesting. That lack of sleep is getting to me, I guess. Anyway, let's see. So how do I actually know if this item executed within the past 20 seconds? So let's do const int base turn history range equals 200. So the other thing I realized is when I inflated all the turn numbers, an average combat ends up having 1,000 turn history entries, which is like my way of storing, like basically I store a snapshot of whatever happens for each turn in the game. And so every 0.1 seconds at default speed, it's generating an entry and adding that to the turn history entry. So this wasn't a problem when the turn cooldowns were like 6 and 7 and 14 before, But now we've got like cards that have like 70 or, you know, and it's still not a problem. It's just like the list of entries has become quite inflated in terms of its length. I think there are some things I could do to fix that, but if I want to check back 20 seconds in the history, I have to go through 200 entries. I think there's a way to fix this if it needs to be fixed though. Like I think, for example, I think there's a way that I can just not add empty entries. So if a turn goes and nothing happened on that turn, then I could just not add it to the list. I don't know how practical that's going to be, generally speaking though, because like if poison ticks and nothing else happens, well, that's still a turn entry that needs to be added. So that's something I need to analyze. I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem. I guess the part where I'm worried is like there are some abilities that look at the entire history of the current combat. And so if we're approaching 1,000 entries in the list and then that's being like there's a value being summed across all of the entries in that 1,000 element list, and that happens 10 times in a single turn, is that going to cause problems? I don't know if that will. I mean, based on my research, well, I shouldn't say research. When I asked the AI what the problem would be with that, they said it said less than like 0.1 seconds for a 1,000 element list, less than 0.1 milliseconds. So there's quite a lot of headroom there. So maybe I don't need to worry about it. But it was just something that came up last night. I was like, oh, I wonder if that's going to be a problem. I don't think so, but anyway, that's a that's a tangent. Once they added Doomslayer and Peter Griffin Fortnite, what? Nothing. Peter Griffin is in there. Killed by Bugs Bunny and Kim Kardashian. That's that's hilarious. Hello, Mel's. He said the numbers. Hello, High Law. Welcome back. Good to see you. Neozoid, lurking again. Welcome. So how do I get the number of turn? How many times this card is executed? Random chance provider, card execution count provider. Where is this one used? Get total card execution count since ability. That's not what I want. This is used for what? Oh. I didn't make this generic at all. So this card execution count provider, this sounds generic, right? Oh, I should be able to get the card count based on a number of parameters, but it's actually just hard-coded to sum up the total amount, the total times any card has executed for the source board. Which makes sense. I mean, you know, I didn't build these things for like, I don't tend to build these abilities with all this functionality until I need it. But now, basically what I want to do is I want to go back 20 seconds in the history, which is 200 turns, and I want to see how many times this jewel, or more specifically, how many times this ability executed in that time frame. Ability execution count. Let's see. Ability execution. Maybe the execution count provider is what I want to do. The problem with this one is that this does not use the history. The only option I have on this class is to make it a permanent tracker, which means that it just doesn't reset the state. So now I'm faced with a question. I think I would do, so this is like the ability execution count provider. I might rename this actually. So let's rename this execution count provider. I'm going to rename that to something else. Execution count provider. We're going to rename this to generic execution count provider. So I think that's more appropriate because generic execution count provider, this is just an ability that whenever this ability gets executed, it increments a counter. It actually, maybe it would actually be, maybe I'll rename it again actually. Generic, no, that's fine. That's fine. So I'll rename this to generic execution count provider. I might actually go ahead and just commit that so I don't have a bunch of noise in my Joule commits. So let's see, do those. Oh, get rid of that one. Okay, rename execution count provider. So now what I want to do probably is do something like this. Let's do a new ability game.data.ability. This might be another skeleton commander situation where I'm going to spend the whole stream just trying to get this one to work. Get previous turn execution index. Get turn history range from start index. Aggregate across turns. Get previous card turn execution index. So far as turn histories count. I actually don't know what to do here. I mean, I know what to do. It's just like, how do I do this in a way that's not going to make an Italian meal out of my code? I mean, I could do something like public list, turn history entry, get current turn history range, get current turn history. Or what do I want to call this? Whatever. I don't even know what I'm going to call this, but let's do int previous turns, get current turn history for previous turn range. Previous turns. Is there a way to just grab? I'm gonna have to ask the AI. I don't know how to grab a range. So for this method, I want to get 200 or get previous turns number of entries starting from the end. I feel embarrassed that I don't know how to do that. Find intelligence to the AI auto-completion quite jarring personally. Well, that's all right. Everyone has their preferences. I've got the fan art from last stream. I would try it finished before the stream end. Awesome. Can't wait to see it. Lasagna code? Yeah, we could call it lasagna code. Hello, Wowius, welcome back. Is it better to use C# or GDScript for maintain the code? That depends entirely on your own personal preference. It's like with anything, the tool that you choose is largely just a function of how proficient you are with that tool personally. So whatever language you use is largely just about which one you're most effective in. Like, which one do you find easier to maintain, easier to work with? I don't think you could talk, like, when you're talking about like a software stack, like what are the tools that you're using to build whatever project. I don't think there's not like a way of objectively saying here's the best one or this one's better than that. There are, take last is a thing. That was a long time for thinking just to get me take last. So return. What the heck? Get current. I don't really like the method name here. Let's say the AI, give me a new method name. This is power use of AI. Get turn history tail. There we go. Look at that. All right. So now with this ability execution count provider, what can we do? Okay, let's just get rid of all this stuff. This is just confusing. Get ability executions since ability execution. So I'm going to need another method in here probably. So I'm just going to copy this one. Get total ability executions tail. Type. Oh, this is a type ability type. I'm just going to pass in ability. I actually don't think I need any of this stuff here. Number of previous turns we will keep. So we're going to return get turn history tail sum get total ability executions. Okay, there we go. I'm actually going to not make that a default argument. I'm going to require that I pass that in every time, because just getting the previous one turn is not going to be super useful. Okay. So now we can do var ability executions is equal to turn context dot get total ability executions tail. this history range. Let's do previous history range. Now, the thing that we want to do, though, is because this is executing, we want to increase this count as well. So we're going to increment the count. So this, when this ability executes, it will get all the previous executions of this ability. However, that has not been added to the history yet. So we want the ability executions to be incremented. And in this case, let's actually just make this execution count here. And then we'll do execution count plus plus. So that means that after this ability is executed, I will be guaranteed that I have the accurate count. So this is all the previous history. This ability has not been added as an execution to the history yet. So we do need to increment it by 1. So that way, for any follow-up abilities, so the way that this will work is that this ability comes first in the execution list, or at least it comes before whatever other ability needs to check its value. And so we want to make sure that we don't have to do this check again in the other ability, right? So we're just making sure that it's up to date, increment it by 1. That should be fine. And then, so this can be made generic as well, but we don't need to worry about that yet. So now if I go to the jewel here, what I can do now, ability execution count provider, is new ability execution count provider with the base turn history range of 200. And now we're going to do a conditional damage. So let's do var damage. Let's do const int base damage. We're going to make it 50. Okay. This may be a little bit too powerful, but I'm thinking that it's going to be a little bit difficult to get the full damage out of this thing, and plus it's going to exhaust itself afterwards. Okay, so var damage, and we're going to say, let's do const int execution count requirement is equal to 4. All right. So var damage is equal to new damage, current damage. Okay, and then we need a conditional ability decorator. So var conditional ability is equal to new conditional ability decorator. We're going to decorate the damage. I don't think decorator is the right word here, but that's all right. And then we're going to do ability execution count provider dot get value is greater than or equal to execution count requirement. Okay. So now we need to put the ability execution count provider here and then the conditional ability in there. Key is damage after executions in window. This key doesn't really matter. This key just needs to be unique in this class. So there can't be any other composed abilities in this class that use this key. And that just has to do with the save system. So again, the save system, instead of trying to serialize every single ability, what I basically do is I just store, like when you're alchemizing something, what I do is I store what was the original source of this ability. So it will be like, okay, this ability came from a card, and then it came from this card with ID jewel, and then it came from this ability within that card with this key. And so when I load your save file, I can take those 3 pieces of information and narrow down where the ability originates. And then I basically just instantiate the jewel, grab the ability, duplicate it, slap it on your item when you're restoring the save, and then just like delete the jewel. So it's a little bit wonky, but what's nice about that is that, you know, abilities that are defined in these anonymous functions here are basically impossible to serialize. Plus there's all kinds of conditionality in here. It's just like, it's much easier since all the abilities are predefined somewhere. They're not like, you know, you can't like build a truly unique ability during the game. It's easier just to say, what is this ability's original source? And then just pull it from that source when you're loading the save file. So that's what that key is. what does the damage scaler do? It increases by 4. I might actually change this to 5. So it's going to increase by 5 damage every time. Description template. If this ability executes at least 0 times in description utils time format 1 seconds, deal 2 damage and exhaust this item. Okay, then we need to pass in the execution count requirement. I need to pass in the description utils dot magnitude to seconds, base turn history range, and then the current damage. And also I need to update the damage set base magnitude, current damage, damage that's set magnitude, current damage, card jewel, damage after executions. Maybe we'll just call it damage after executions. Okay. And then we're going to make this innate as well. So now I need the exhaust though. So we need to do another ability builder self-exhaust. Okay, I already have self-exhaust. So can I just do this then? Var conditional exhaust is equal to new conditional ability decorator, ability builder dot self-exhaust, and then this here, ability execution count requirement. Okay, and we'll change this to conditional damage. Okay, let's give it a whirl. Is there an easy way to change the code from GDScript to C#? I don't think so. I mean, other than doing it by hand or like having an AI auto translate it all over for you. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to do it. I don't know if there's any tool to do it. So basically mark an ability with unique IDs based on existing item kind. Yeah, basically, yeah. That's basically how it works. Also, welcome to the stream, Eternal Spectre. It is Godot supporting unit integration testing. Is it common to write tests of Godot scripts? There is a plugin or an extension, I don't know exactly what it is, called GD Unit that enables you. It's a framework for doing unit testing within Godot. And you can even do stuff like actually test like scene tree structures, because you can mark tests as requiring the Godot runtime. So if you need to test like a scene being instantiated properly or having the proper configuration or whatever, it actually uses the Godot. It actually runs the Godot engine as part of the test. So you can test various things there. I don't know how common it is to write unit tests for games generally speaking, but I have a couple of unit tests, but mostly they're not super impressive. Basically just testing to make sure all the ability keys are unique, and then what else? Yeah, I don't really have, I should probably get rid of that example test, but I have a couple of tests. The unfortunate thing is I couldn't get it to work in CI for some reason, so I have to remember to manually run those. But yeah, I don't think it's that common, honestly. Have you tried C++ Godot? I have not, no. Okay. Jewel, let's go. Oh, I made that too big. Narlock's Grand Jewel. I made it too big. All right, here we go. That's pretty cool. If this ability executes at least 4 times in 20 seconds, deal 50 damage and exhaust this item. Heck yeah, dude. So this should just not do anything by default. Oh, it did do something. Is my math correct? I might have to check that. Also, I think I should probably do 199 here just to be extra careful, because since I'm effectively adding an execution count for this turn, I think that's fine. Now the question is, I actually don't think this is working properly. Put a breakpoint there and see what's happening. Trying to follow your 2D survivors class to build Godot game, but realize it's using GDScript. Oh yeah. Well, a lot of my courses, 3 of my courses are GDScript because that's just the more popular one. I do have a C# course though, so if you're interested in that, you can check that out. But thank you, Junicorn Jenny, for the raid. Very much appreciate that. Probably doing 6.3 times 3 instead of 4. Maybe, I don't know. We're gonna have to investigate. So for the people who are coming with the raid, welcome. I'm working on Alchemortis, which is a single player roguelite auto battler, where you can use alchemy to create your own builds and synergies. You could check out the Steam page, it's linked below. So yeah, we're trying to get an ability to work and it's not working for some reason. Am I wrong about this? So wait, it has... Oh no, that's fine. Oh, it's just gonna... Okay, we're gonna step out of that. Can I not step out of this? Oh gosh. So 127, 190. Part abilities executed, yeah. So it's just... What is the number that it's going to get here? Two. That's going to increment that to 3. Okay. I wonder if maybe I could just run this. Let's see. Oops. Uh-oh. Didn't mean to do that. So that's 3 now. Something's weird here. Something's weird. Am I thinking about this wrong? So that's 3 in the previous 19.9 seconds. Oh, you know what? That might just be exactly correct. Hold on a second. 6.3 times 3, 18.9. Oh, I see. Yeah, I think it's just a weird, yeah, it's just weird math here. So the problem is it executes 3 times within 18.9 seconds. And then it executes again and increments this count. That pushes it up to 4. So I think what I was failing to account for is that I was thinking there would be, I guess I was counting the windows instead of the ability executions. So there'd be like a 6.3 second window and then ability execution. And then 6.3 second window, ability execution. 6.3 second window, then ability execution. But I'm only counting the executions, I'm not counting the windows. So that first window that I mentioned is basically just not applicable. So then I have ability execution, window, ability execution, window, ability execution. So there's 3 ability executions and 2 windows. No, I guess it would be 4 ability executions and 3 windows. Right, so that makes sense. There's 3 ability executions, 4 ability executions, and 3 windows because I'm adding an execution count here. So it's like bookended by executions, and then there's 3 windows in the middle, which total up to 18.9 seconds. So it gets to this and it says, oh, there's 4 executions within a 20 second window, which is why it's working. So what I could do potentially is I could just up the number of executions required. I could up the turn cooldown. I don't think there's anything wrong with the code here. I think it was just a little bit unintuitive how it's working. But if I up the execution requirement to 5, that would work. I could also just lower the, the window that I'm checking to be something like 15 or 12 seconds. That might actually be better. So let's do 12 seconds. Let's do 119. So 120 minus 1. Yeah. Oh, and this should be, let's do turn history range plus 1. So that's correct. Okay. I think I got it. Cooldown on the first execution wouldn't be counted. Right. Yep. You got it. Scrunsed. You got it. Okay. Let's give this a shot now. So this should do nothing. So essentially what's happening is by the time it gets to 4 executions, it's 18.9 seconds or 19 seconds, something like that. So I just reduced that window and that will make it good. Okay. All right. So now it's not doing anything. Cool. All right, so that's working as expected now. And then just for testing purposes, I'm pretty sure it works because, like, you know, the only thing that wasn't working with that ability was the window, but I am just going to turn the turn cooldown down to not 1, let's do 10. And let's give that a shot. Okay. So let's do this. I'm so relieved that there wasn't an issue in my code. I'm very glad. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. Does 50 damage. Exhausts. Okay. So that works. So that ability is good to go. Now we need ideas for the other abilities that it can have. Let's see. Card inspection tool. So I think this will be a really interesting item. I'm hoping that it becomes like a target for people to try to like reduce the cooldown as much as possible. Or get Echo, for example. Echo would be really good against that or on that item because that would count as an ability execution if it targeted that innate ability. So anyway, let's take a look at ally with fire. Do I have a lot of fire? Don't have a lot of fire. I have a lot of poison. Bleed. Ability projector. Swarm decorator. Not a whole lot of blind. Maybe I'll add a blind ability. Increase the critical chance of allied items that apply fire by 10% for 1 execution. So the critical chance is weird. Right now I have a critical chance buff, which is just a temporary buff that applies for like 1 execution. But then I also have passive critical chance increases. And I'm wondering if I need both of those things. I wonder if I should just simplify it and make critical chance increase always a passive thing and just get rid of the buff. Maybe not, because I do have some interesting items that apply like a 100% crit chance buff for 1 execution, so that wouldn't really translate to a passive. Confused. I mean, I think fire would be a good candidate for the jewel. I hit fence post errors often enough. Oh, there's even a name for it. Very nice. Maybe something that scales off a turn cooldown, so one ability gets stronger as you make it execute faster, while the other gets weaker. I think blind makes sense for a crystal. Yeah, I might throw a blind on there, and then maybe a third ability as well. I'm gonna make it a little bit interesting. Let's give it a stronger blind, but it will be only against items on the left edge of the board. That can work. I'm actually gonna move this out of this array here and just put this here. Make it a little bit cleaner. All right, let's build. I do want to give it some kind of extra ability, I think. Okay, that should have added the translation. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I should change this actually. Oh, this needs to be pluralized here. How did this get missed? I might fix this right now, actually. 0, 1. Oh, I see. Do this. Okay, let's build, rerun the translation generator. Maybe an ability that prevents X exhaustions that you can level up would be cool with Phoenix and other exhaust cards. I have an idea for an item that scales off of exhaust, but something that prevents it could be good for sure. Or maybe an artifact. Artifact could be the first time an item gets exhausted, it's blocked or something. That could work. Translation generator, so this should fix all kinds of places. Let's see. So the problem is I've got like a double plural in here. So there's two strings. There's the singular and plural string, but that plural is only applying to the item or items. But I also am going to need for executions. So I need to figure out, I think that's supported in this file format. I just need to figure that out because if I ever have something last for more than one execution, that's not going to work. Although the thing is, it's generating the text based on what the configured duration is here, and this duration doesn't scale on blind. So maybe it's okay actually, because it's just generating the proper text automatically based on the duration. And since the duration isn't scaling, that means that this is always, whether it's execution or executions, is always going to be correct. So I guess I don't need to worry about that right now anyway. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and try it out. Posted Alchemortis General, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Oh, nice. Kind of does look like papyrus now that you think about it. That's hilarious. Thank you for the fan art, Snupbill. That's cool. Yeah, join the Discord, everybody, if you want to see what Snupbill just posted. Hello, Quebble. Welcome, welcome. I was just, is that the Quebble? I was just watching one of your live streams before I hopped onto my stream. You were working on a parry system. I hope that this is the Quebble and not the, not some kind of poser. But welcome back to the stream. What's this translation generator? The translation generator is essentially just a tool that I wrote to, so for context, a lot of my text is baked into the C# code. So like all of my ability descriptions, for example, have like text baked in as part of the ability definition. And there's all kinds of string formatting that needs to be done and so on and so forth to insert the various numbers. And I did all this before I did a translation system. So I just have all these strings in C# classes essentially. And the other thing too is that in certain situations, query target provider, query options, where is that? Oh no, board inventory component. So there are some places too where I'm generating English language sentences based on a configuration object. So this query options object is basically an object that contains all of my query options, which allow me to select specific cards. And then I can generate English text based on the whatever flags are set on it. Of course, the problem is that this only works grammatically for English. I can't just translate each individual word and like keep the same order, right? Because there are different grammatical structures for different languages and everything. So I was like, shoot, how am I going to handle this? So I built a translation generator. And what this basically does is this goes through all of the main systems in the game and pulls out the relevant strings and outputs them into the PO file, which is for a tool called getText, which is a pretty popular translation tool. And so I go through all these major parts of the code and I basically pull out the English language string and I stuff it right into that PO file with a proper ID and with the template string placeholders in place. And so, for example, for generating the cards or generating the abilities, what I essentially do is I just iterate over every single item in my game, and then I iterate over every ability on every item in the game, and I pull out those text strings that are present, like defined here. But the benefit of doing it this way is that all of those string replacements for like the query options, for example, I can't find an example, but what I was just talking about here, this generation of English language strings, this happens, I can insert that directly into this description template so that it outputs the proper string. And then as part of the translation generator, I'm basically just creating these new PO entries. These entries have an ID, the text, plural text if applicable, so on and so forth. And I basically just create a giant list of all of these entries for each system in the game. And then that just outputs a file called en.po. And this is all of the translatable text in my game is just all in here. And every single entry has a unique ID based on like what system it's coming from. And then when I actually go to render the descriptions for all of my abilities, it uses the description translation key under the hood. So if I go to my base composed ability, in here, get description, it will basically grab the proper description translation key and run that through the translation server. And so the translation server does a lookup in the PO file, finds the ID by key, and then pulls out that text. And so what happens basically for translation is I just hand off this translation file to whoever is like a French translator or a Spanish translator, and they will just go through the file and they'll just replace all of the English language strings, right? So they'll rewrite this to be in their native language, but they keep the key the same. And so I configure that in the Godot engine, and so whenever that locale is set, French or Spanish or whatever, it will just swap out the text with ID to the French version or whatever. So I don't know if I explained that very well, but the whole goal of the translation generator was to work around the fact that all of my, or a lot of my text in my game is actually baked into C# files, but that's actually by design too, because I want the translation file to be a generated output of the code, which means that the code remains the source of truth, right? I don't want to be in a situation where whenever I need to add a description to an ability, I need to open up this translation file and manually add an entry in here. Number one, I think that's going to be quite tedious. And number two, I think that's going to be quite prone to error. So automating it and making my code the source of truth for all of the English language strings, and then creating this as a generated output of the code, like as something that gets built by the code essentially, reduces errors, makes it so that I don't have to F around with this, and yeah, just generally makes it easier, I think. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's you. Okay, good. I know. I'm glad it is the Quibble, not an imposter. Dang, that's insanely cool. Yeah, thank you. I think it works really well. I mean, I think, it was one of those things where I left translation for, like, I literally just did the translation stuff like 3 weeks ago. And it's one of those things where I didn't plan to add translations. I didn't build the game with translations in mind. And so this solution was somewhat of a workaround to the fact that I've got all these strings in C# code. But I think because like my ability system and my artifacts and all that stuff are like properly systematized, it's relatively easy to just iterate over all the artifacts and get their descriptions and put them in the file, and iterate over all the abilities and get their descriptions and put them in the file, right? Iterate over all the characters, so on and so forth. A lot of the text too is contained within custom resources, and that's super easy too. So like for the executioner sword, I've got the display name here and I've got the flavor text. So it just creates an entry in the translation file called like card executioner sword display name, and then it puts the English text in there, and then card executioner sword flavor text, and then it puts that there. And these are just, in custom resources. So this is just as simple as like loading up all of the card resources and just pulling out one by one all of these text fields and slapping them in. But the nice thing is too, again, I only need to change this in one place. So if I need to tweak the language here, I just tweak it and then rerun the translation generator and it gets updated for me. Hello, Jonathan Richards. Just stumbled across your vids. Great stuff. Thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. That's smart. I'm really struggling with desyncs in my Rust web project. Oh, that's rough. That's rough. Quick question. Did you create the pixel art or did you get a free one or pay for a license? Currently struggling to get downloaded pixel art fonts to look good. Oh, pixel art font. Yes, I did pay for the font. There are some really good like public domain CC0 free fonts on itch.io. If you haven't looked on itch.io, I would definitely recommend it. There's tons and tons of pixel fonts on there. And even the fonts that are paid, there's a lot of really high quality fonts that are like $5 or $3. So if you find a font that you really like and you have the disposable income, and they're perpetual licenses too, right? It's not like, oh, you can only buy the license for this game. most of those fonts that are on itch.io, if they're paid, are like, you can use them in unlimited commercial projects. So for $5, you get a high quality font, shove it on a hard drive somewhere and keep it permanently and just use it in whatever future projects you want to use it in. So like I'm at the kind of stage where, you know, I like collecting those kind of assets, like font and sound effects assets specifically. So if I see a good deal on a font that I like, or I see a good deal on like a massive sound effects pack, even if I have no immediate need for it, I will often buy those things and just shove them onto my NAS, my network attached storage, and I just have them forever. So for future projects, I know that everything that's on my personal library is properly licensed, that I can use it in unlimited commercial projects. So I don't need to go hunting on the web again. I can just go to my library and say, you know, I've got, at this point, I've probably got like 24, maybe 36 pixel art fonts that I have the license to use unlimited commercial projects. So it's like, yeah, it's just very nice. I would recommend building up a library for yourself like that if you're going to keep doing game development. It's nice to just have stuff that you can just start working with immediately, because one of the things that I really don't like is I don't like spending hours scouring the web for like a perfect font. Like that to me feels very bad. I think it's because I'm not directly working on the game, but even with MSDF enabled, the text has little faint grid-like lines going through it. Interesting. I don't know anything about the font rendering issues, I'm sorry to say. Yeah. I don't know what would be causing that. Anyway, do we want to add a fire ability to the jewel here as well? Would that be too much? I mean, I kind of feel like it needs more abilities to balance out the fact that the first ability is kind of useless until you get it going. So maybe we'll just do something like 10 fire. Or we can make it a more interesting ability, like it could apply fire based on damage dealt, or it could... I don't know, does anyone have any ideas? I don't have a whole lot of fire synergies, I don't think, so we could do something like, for every 10 damage dealt since the previous execution, apply 1 fire, or for every 5 damage dealt. Actually, maybe we'll do that. I kind of want to do something more interesting here. Okay, so let's do this. For every X damage dealt since previous execution, apply Y fire. So we'll do that. All right. I have to head out. Sounds good. Thanks for joining, Quebble. And I'll try to hop into one of your streams again too. You're gonna be at Godot Con this year. I don't think so. I mean, it's not happening in the United States, right? Amsterdam. Unfortunately, I do not have the funding to do an overseas trip. I don't even have the funding to do a cross-country trip. So unless the Godot Con is within like a 6-hour drive of me, I will not be going until I have money. There's one in the US. Okay. Interesting. Where is it? Oh, Boston. Is it in Boston? I'll have to look at this. Oh, May 5th. Oh, no. I didn't realize there was one in Boston. That's within driving distance for sure. Oh, no. Oh, no. Probably not this one, but if I had been aware of that in advance, I probably would have tried to go, but anyway. Boston in July. Oh, wait. Oh, it's in the... Oh, I was looking at 2025. Okay, so it's not coming up. Okay, so I have fair warning now, so July. I think it's in the early stages of planning, but that's what I keep hearing. Okay. I will keep an eye out for that. Thanks for bringing that up. But anyway, thanks again for joining the stream, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello, David Martinez, Leon Rune? Welcome. Good to see you again. Okay, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. We'll add a new ability to this thing, and then we'll move on to adding a new item. We'll see We'll see how it goes. Have a good stream. Thank you. I appreciate it. I missed a lot. Meetings. Dang meetings. I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. I'll be right back, and then we'll do what I just said we'll do. We'll see how it goes. Okay, BRB. All right, I'm back. Okay, let's add something. So for every X damage dealt since previous execution, apply fire. So fire per damage dealt is equal to new composed ability. Thank you, Steve the Manco. Welcome to the stream. Okay, so new composed ability. We need a var damage dealt provider, new damage dealt provider, damage type dot physical. What does this do? Get damage taken, get cards that dealt damage. Target board. I think that's fine. Let's do const int divisor is equal to 5. Let's do var generic value provider is equal to new generic value provider. This will be damage dealt provider dot get value divided by divisor. Is that right? Oh, this needs to be an int. Here we go. Okay, var dynamic. Let's do const int base fire per damage is equal to 1. Var int current, no, not var int. Current fire per damage. Value scalar is equal to new value scalar, generic value provider. Value scalar set multiplier, current fire per damage. We'll just copy this big old block here. Okay, so fire per damage. The abilities here, we need the damage dealt provider, and then we also need generic value provider. No. Oh, I forgot. No. Fire is equal to new dynamic magnitude ability. Value scalar, new fire. It just occurs to me that this argument list is probably inverted, but oh well. Doesn't matter. Fire, okay. So damage dealt provider and then fire. Scalar, get fire scalar. Current fire, value scalar set multiplier, cool. All right, so now here, apply 0 fire for every 1 damage dealt. Oh, this needs to be, this is kind of annoying to write, but that's all right. 1 damage since previous execution. So actually this doesn't need to be a string like that, so I can simplify this a little bit. Okay. Current fire per damage divisor is innate. We're going to get rid of that. I don't think we have anything that scales fire based off of damage dealt, so that's going to be good, I think. Let's make this the second ability in the list. I think generally try to order the abilities by importance, unless the order is important. Like some items will synergize with themselves by having the synergy ability execute after the ability that it synergizes with. But that's not, well, that actually kind of does happen in this case, because if you manage to trigger this massive amount of damage, which is 50 damage by default if it's tier 1, then what that's going to do is that's going to trigger 10 fire. And actually, I should probably make sure that that works. Oh, it's not. Get damage taken since ability execution. Wait a minute. Aggregate across turns. That is included in the current history, okay. So the weird thing about this turn history entry is that the current history object that is being recorded to is not logged in the list of turn histories. So the turn history entry only gets added to the list when that turn is over. But in most cases, I actually want to read whatever has happened in the current history as well. Like in the case of this jewel, right? The damage from this first ability is going to happen in the same turn history entry as the fire here. So when I'm doing these things, like I want to see how much damage was dealt since the previous ability execution, I actually need to include any damage that has been dealt this turn as well, right? So it's a little bit weird, but that is working the way that I want it to work. So let's see if this works. I do need to build this and then run the translations. Hello, it's good to be here. Keep working. Crossing my fingers for your success. Thank you. Appreciate that. And actually, I have an interesting idea that I'm just going to get kicked off here. I'm going to ask the AI, is there any way in a Godot C# project to run an additional script when the C# solution is built? In this case, want to run translation generator whenever after the C# project is built, to ensure that any string changes in C# are immediately captured in translation generator. I wonder if this is possible. I wonder if I could just do that with a pure C# thing, like a post build command, but post build events. Yeah, interesting. Okay, cool. I may do that. Hello, Kelso. I'm doing well. How are you doing? So I'll let the AI cook on that one. I'm not going to implement it right now, but it just popped into my head. Because usually what I have to do is like, I have to build the project so that the C# scripts are updated, and then I have to do run translation generator here. And I would like for that to happen just as a normal, just as part of the normal build process, because that would dramatically speed up my iteration. And also, I think that would just work if I press the play button too, assuming that the post-build events have to finish before the game gets launched, but I actually don't know if that's true or not. We'll have to test that. But anyway, I'm gonna go solo, probably gonna make more fan art thing, mostly for shading, practicing, but for now, have a good one. All right, thanks, Snupbill, and thanks again for the fan art. Appreciate it. Could call Godot headless probably. Well, yeah, that's what's happening already. So this editor script, this run translation generator, this is actually just running a new instance of Godot in headless mode because it's an actual scene that needs to be run because it needs to have all of the game context so it can load the items properly and everything. So all this script does is this just spawns a headless version of Godot that runs the translation generator path and then it immediately quits. Now the problem is I don't think... I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but... Oh, it does quit automatically every time. Does it quit automatically every time? I wonder if it's possible to create a process that hangs here. Adds a few seconds to every build. Well, I'll have to see that. I don't know about this. If it adds too much to the build time, I'll have to do something else probably, but... we'll figure that out later. Doing good, sometimes rough. Well, that's life, I guess. Sorry to hear that. I think post-build commands are executed on the shell, not from the assembly. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, we'll try it out. I'm not going to do it right now, like I said, though. We have to test some of this new ability here. We're going to test this new ability here. Okay. Applies 1 fire for every 5 damage dealt since previous execution. Okay. So let's see. 10 damage, 8 damage, so it should deal 3 fire. Should deal 3 fire. Or, I mean, it depends on how fast this goes. Yeah, it should be 3. 3 fire, go! Boom! Oh, it did 4. Why did it do 4? I don't know why that did 4. You would need a script bat or sh to call Godot headless from CLI. Interesting. Could you tell us more about your course in Udemy, Create a Complete Tutor Survivors Game in Godot 4? Has it been updated in 3 years? No, it has not been updated. It still works. It's still mostly fine. There's a couple places that are outdated, but for the most part, it's still valid. But no, it has not been updated. And the main reason for that is that I've just been so focused on making Alka Mortis. I don't really have time to spend the hours required to update the courses, unfortunately. Okay, it applied 3 fire that time. Wonder why that happened. Free fire. Oh, this works really well with the bleed build, actually. Because the bleed adds physical damage, which counts. I actually don't remember how bleed works. I really like how you do art assets. What size do you use for pixel? Well, my grid size is 18 by 18, so the pixel size largely just depends on what the size of the item is, you know? Okay. Anyway, I think this is working. Yeah. The jewel is done. Okay, we have 1 item done for today. Only 2 more items to do to meet the goal. So I have another idea. So this is going back to what I said earlier. I want to make an item that scales off of items becoming exhausted. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. Backpack battles. Let's see. So we needed a player item that can scale off of exhausted items. Vampire, this would be good to deal damage. Based on bleed stacks. Actually, it might be interesting. Having some abilities that scale based off of what's in your inventory instead of what's on the board might be really interesting. There's all kinds of things I can do. Like I have not even come close to exhausting all the potential for the abilities in this game. which is good because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so that the overwhelming majority of cards have at least one ability that cannot be found anywhere else. I think that's going to be, like I said yesterday, I think that's going to be really important for just making the alchemy really interesting. It's going to be really important for, you know, just making your builds crazy and whatnot. But let's see. 18 by 18 for icon, but what about screen size? Screen size is 640 by 360. I'm inspired by your work. I would like to learn to code a GD script. Will your course make me feel more confident in coding and using Godot 4.6? So the thing about my courses is they're not for absolute beginners. I don't spend any time in the courses explaining programming concepts. Like I don't explain what a variable is. I don't explain what a function is. If you're going to take my courses, they are geared towards people who already have programming experience and who just want to learn how to use Godot effectively. So if you're brand new to programming, I would not recommend that you take my courses, because it's not a programming course. It's not a beginner level course. It's more like intermediate level. So yeah, I would recommend against that. But I know that people like GD Quest, they have really good beginner oriented Godot tutorials where they will walk you through like the programming fundamentals as well, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, check those guys out. Unstable flask for exhausted items. Yeah, that could work. Or maybe like a barrel of oil or something. Unstable flask, yeah. Time for Game Dev once again. Hello, Jackie Daytona. Welcome. Good to see you again. Royal Munjask, what's up? How are you doing? Welcome back. Yeah, a flask of some kind might be a good idea. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. A flask, let me think. This is the hardest part, is just coming up with the new themes for the items. I know some programming concepts. Yeah, so if you know programming concepts, then I think my courses are fine for sure. Yeah, just be aware that I don't really explain like programming fundamentals, so that's all you should be aware of. What if you had an item that had a longer cooldown and exhausted itself, but unexhausted adjacent allied items and dealt fire damage? Okay, that sounds good. Definitely want, so exhausted is one of those things, and I think paralyzed to a lesser extent is one of those features of the game which does not have a whole lot of synergies currently. So definitely want to spend more time on that stuff for sure. That's a good idea. Still need to come up with something for this thingy. I need to go and redraw some of these things too. Some of the art is not super good, but figure it out later. What if you had a card that got stronger for each time it got exhausted? Yeah, that would be interesting. What are we doing right now? Right now, I have an ability in mind. This is going to deal damage every time an item becomes exhausted. And this might be rephrased to something like, for each exhausted item, deal whatever damage. So I'm trying to come up... So I've got the ability in mind. Now I'm trying to come up with a properly themed item for that. Somebody said like an explosive flask, which could work. I already have kind of a lot of flask items. Actually, I just made... Let me see. I made the Sword of Holy Oil last night. Converts damage to fire and deal 10 damage. So that's pretty cool. What else did I do? I did an ascetic. Where's the ascetic? Oh, drunkard. I don't know if you guys have seen the drunkard yet. Added a drunkard. Where's the ascetic? Did I not tag the ascetic properly? Uh-oh. Maybe I didn't. Where is he? Oops. Oops, I forgot to tag that as an enemy. What was the name of those guys? GD Quest. Is that what you're talking about? GD Quest. There we go. There's the ascetic. So I also added this new clergy secondary tag. So obviously, you know, any of the clergy have the clergy tag. What about an owl for a card? Yeah, that could work. I was kind of thinking maybe I could do like, this is kind of anachronistic, but this game is a fantasy game anyway. I was thinking of kind of doing like a, what was it, Tesla coil or something? Is that what I'm thinking? Yeah, Tesla coil could be an interesting card. It's a little bit, like I said, it's a little bit anachronistic. It's not exactly something that you would see in like a medieval time period, but given that, you know, the world building of this game is like there are these alchemists who are essentially scientists and engineers who are creating all these different things, it may be okay. Any chance whatsoever that you try making a VR game? I think a pixel art roguelike would be fun in VR. Probably not. Probably not. The main reason is I can't even really play VR games. They're not super comfortable for me. Wow, this is so hard. I'm going to spend forever trying to think of this. Well, let me think. Enemy item Funeral Pyre paralyzes an allied card at random and increases fire damage. That is a cool idea. I already have a Funeral Pyre though. What's the problem? I'm just trying to think of a card for this ability, a theme. I mean, I guess an oil flask or like a barrel or something. Do you have an effigy yet? I have a voodoo doll, which is kind of that, I guess. But maybe like a more explicit effigy would work. That's a good idea, actually. Let's see. I'm just doing a Google search to figure out I already have a voodoo doll. I feel like I'm going crazy with Sprite right now. Used to when I would draw some art with an opaque color, it would just paint over the top of the art, but now it's replacing the art. I could use an opaque white to make highlights. Oh, I think what you need to do is there's some blending options up here. Maybe it's one of these options. Alpha compositing. Yeah, you might want to use alpha compositing. No, or simple ink. I thought there was a setting for that. I'm actually not sure where that went. But it must be one of the settings. Have you thought about a card that deals good damage only if the enemy board has no status applied? Like, it gets worse when enemy has poison, fire, bleed applied. Oh, that's a good idea. Deal bonus damage if no statuses applied. That's a good one. Wouldn't opaque be full alpha? Yeah, I think what Malicious Rabbit means is transparent. I understood what he meant. All right, well, I'm just going to start drawing a flask and we'll just see how it goes. Maybe I'll do something weird like a really tall, long flask. Let's see. Actually, I have a different idea. We don't have many cards shaped like this. We also don't have, oh, you know what? We also don't have an inverted version of this. Do I want to, so I'm thinking of making it some kind of like altar or ritual something. Let's do this actually. Okay. So this is 3x2 minus 0. Oh goodness. All right. Let's actually make a new card shape. I haven't done that in a while. Let's see if I can figure it out. Open file, assets, card, background. We want to open this. Let's open this one. Before I mess this up, this is 3x2. And this would be minus 0x, 0y, minus 2x, 0y. Okay, we save that. Bring this down here. There we go. We'll fix all the borders up here in just a minute. Let's just get rid of all these things here. Bring that down. delete this. Is that right? Did I do it wrong? I did do it wrong. This needs to be over. Is that right? That doesn't look right to me. $19.19. Okay. I think it is right. 19.19. Okay. Okay. So that's fine. Now we're going to do this. Change this to pure white. Get rid of this. Save this as. This is going to be what? Border mask. Okay. Did I do it correctly? There we go. So we got a new shape in there. Create that. So I should probably actually just commit this first. Oh, that's kind of weird. Why is there no import for the mask there? There we go. Could be an artifact, maybe some kind of like iron gauntlet. Just the file I'm using, I have to open it as a PNG and not an ASPRI file. Oh, interesting. To leave already, sadly. Good luck working on today's items. Thank you, appreciate it. Probably this has been asked a million times, but what do you use for your task board? It's Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Welcome to the stream, Percival. Good to see you. Okay. I have an interesting idea for an altar style. What if you had a U-shaped item and the ability affected the item sitting inside of the U? Oh! Then you could deal damage based on the number of exhausted items matching the item inside the U. Not sure if it's feasible, but would it be interesting? That is a really good idea. Maybe not for the altar specifically, but some kind of like augment for an item sitting inside of it. Yeah. A U-shaped item. Yeah, we could do that. So let me just... I'll just write this down here. U-shaped item that massively augments item sitting inside. Now, there's a couple of interesting problems with that, right? One, I don't really have the concept of like in the code currently of targeting an item that's adjacent to multiple cells, right? So if you've got a U-shaped item, the item that it targets needs to be adjacent to the left, like little edge, right? And the right edge. So I don't currently have a concept in the code for supporting that case. And I don't know how difficult that would be. Probably doable, but I just don't know. And then the question is, like, that would probably have to be an innate ability because it wouldn't work if you don't have a U-shaped item. Or maybe it would actually. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me think about this. If I make it so that it has to be adjacent to the left and the right edge, but then you were to put that ability on like a 1x1, you may be able to use another L-shaped card to get that bonus back. No, wait, that wouldn't work. No, because it would have to be adjacent to the left edge and adjacent to the right edge, which would be on opposite sides of the item. How would that work? Wait a minute. Yeah, that might just have to be an ability that I make innate to that item because I don't know. Like, if you alchemize that ability onto any other item, I don't think it would work. Originally came up with the idea for like a mount item and a powered up got strong if you slotted a minion on it, but never felt like it could work. Yeah, thank you, Willius. Okay, so anyway, let's just start drawing. Don't know if I'm going to be able to get this one finished on this stream here. We're already approaching the end, but let me just see if I can get like a basic thing set up here. Okay. So yeah, what I was thinking is, so we take like, just do like an altar. Oops. Like this. Obviously we'll make it look a little bit better than that. Oops, I did it wrong already. So I was thinking doing something like this and then got like a stick here. Something like this. Something vaguely demonic, I guess you could say. And then on this altar too, you know, we can have, you know, can never have too many skulls in this game, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't really look like a skull, but that's okay. Can't have too many skulls in a game about necromancers. Put like a little skull there. Round this off a little bit, maybe. That's probably fine. Probably will want to do maybe some kind of cloth here. Oh, I just realized that this probably needs to go the other way. Yeah. You know what I've noticed is since I've been doing, all these items every day, is I've actually noticed an improvement in my art again. Like, I don't know what it is, but recently, and I should knock on wood because then I'm going to get into a big block again, but recently the art part has not been super difficult for me. The most difficulty I had was that skeleton commander, which you guys saw, but even that wasn't terribly difficult. So anyway, I don't know why I'm saying that. I guess I'm just happy with the fact that art is starting to feel like something that's a little bit easier finally. I may actually do this. Actually, yeah, let's do that. This is going to be white here. This will probably be orange. I don't exactly know what this is supposed to be. Maybe I'll kind of make it look... Yeah, I don't know for sure what this is going to be like, but... I don't know what to do about this part here. You know what I might do? Let me just get rid of this. Yeah, actually that might look better. And then I can do some knots there. Yeah, that sounds fine. Seems fine to me. I have to work on the face a little bit here. This little whatchamacallit. I think it looks decent. I mean, it's not, it's not super impressive yet, but it'll get there. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's, it's coming along. Actually kind of like that little bit of asymmetrical lighting there. Hello, Budget Jim. Thank you for the Prime subscription. Thank you. Very much appreciate that. Welcome back. Good to see you. Money Bags. Good morning, sir. Hope all is well. Yeah, things are going well. Thank you for asking. How are you doing? 2D pixel games devs don't find creating pixel art tedious. They just accept it even though it requires a lot of patience. I just render 3D models, cartoon filter, limit, color, palette, resize, done. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's up to you. Everyone's going to have different tastes, right? I mean, for me, yeah, like especially when you're not good at it, the art can be very tedious for sure. That is definitely true. And, I think it's one of those things where it becomes easier to do when you get better at it because it's more fun, right? But if a lot of your effort when you're doing art is just like struggling, then it's definitely not going to be super fun. And, there are two ways of dealing with that, right? You can find an alternate approach to create art, like what you've done, right? Something that's easier for you to do, something that still looks pretty good. And then the other option is to just like suffer through it and learn what you need to learn to get it done. And that's the option that I took. I wanted to be good at pixel art and the only way out was through, so I just kept doing it even when it was frustrating, which it has been plenty of times, trust me. It can be very frustrating sometimes when you don't know exactly what you're doing. I mean, it's not like I know exactly what I'm doing either. I'm just doing the best that I can. Try something here. Like I don't even know if I particularly like the direction that this one is going. But most of that may be because I haven't done this part yet. Yeah, I don't really know what to do here. I might actually just create some more black down here. Make this guy... I don't know about this one. I mean, we could take a break from this skull. Actually, that looks kind of good. Now that I think about it. Oh, yeah. That looks a little bit better. Okay, I'll just leave it like that. Looks a little bit too messy here. Let me fix that. What I could do just for extra effect is just put some black in here. That looks a little bit too uniform though. Try to break up some of this uniformity. Yeah, I think that looks fine. Also more flexible because I don't like an angle of an object. I change the angle and I'm done within minutes. Yeah. Are there any other pixel 3D games besides Minecraft? It's an interesting style. I want to do more games like that. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty. I don't know. I'm not aware of any in particular, but Hightail? Yeah, Hightail's a good one. I feel like so many dips in the blood, it's hard to detail highlight. It's not blood, it's a cloth. I think it's fine. The shading, I think, helped. Okay, yeah, there's an old comment. I get locked in and then I don't know what people are referring to. Sorry. Gotta stay locked in, you know? Okay, I think it's fine. I think I'll just call it there, why not? Just call it there. I think that turned out pretty decent. I mean, I could add something on this side, but maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just leave it the way it is. Let's just fill in all these gaps here. I don't know. Should I fill in? I think I should fill in this one. Yeah. There we go. We have an occult altar now. Achieving the realism when manually pixel art is a hard challenge as well. What's wrong with my method of using 3D models? It's literally automated. You could try it several times until you like the result. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, there's no right way to do art, right? I mean, like, you've got games like Cuphead, which are like the most inefficiently drawn things of all time. Why? Because they had a very specific creative vision for that game, right? So it's like, it's not really about like being absolutely efficient in all cases, right? It's a lot of it is about like, what is your vision for the game, right? The reason why some people are going to do hand-drawn pixel art is because they want to make it pixel perfect and they want to make all these gorgeous frame-by-frame animations. And it's like, that's fine, right? But your method is also fine, right? You're interested in creating your art assets and having them be tweakable and iteratable, and that's fine too. So yeah, I think it's all a matter of like, what is the artistic vision, right? And maybe you don't have much of an artistic vision. Maybe you're just like, I just need something that looks consistent and good, that's easy to create, and that's fine too, right? Oops. Is that a hole? That is a hole. Oh, I can't do that. Okay, never mind. Actually, I could do that though. No, I can't. Okay. Back it goes. Not a bad thing to be locked in though, yeah. Looks like a pixel is missing on the skull. Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, well, I'll tell you what. I'm very hungry right now, so I'm not actually going to go ahead and implement this ability on stream, but I hope that was entertaining. I always like drawing stuff on stream. It's kind of fun. And it's also useful to have your critique as I'm drawing it, for sure. So yeah, I think it turned out decent. I mean, it's not, like I said, I don't think I would classify it as like the best art in the game, but I think it looks great. So that's all that matters. And let me just do, that. Okay, that's going to be it for the stream today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. As a reminder, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can use alchemy to create your own builds and synergies. Would appreciate that. You can also check out the Patreon, the Discord, all that good stuff is linked below. So I hope you'll consider joining the Discord. It's a fun place to hang out. And I'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. So I hope to see you there. Have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye for now.